Daniel, welcome to the show.
Hey Alex, I'm happy to be here and I'm glad I'm just super happy to be in this podcast.
Very happy to have you. So, first off, why don't you tell me a little bit about your marketing agency and company, Budai Media?
Yeah, sure. So we are an e-commerce retention marketing agency and we started out in 2018, now 5 years ago. And basically we want to help e-commerce businesses grow by increasing the lifetime value of their customers and helping them, to have more returning customers because many of them they don't have that. They already have a customer base, but customers they don't want to come back, and that's how we help them.
Mm-hmm. And so your emphasis is on retention marketing more than anything else. So what are some of the specific practices that you put that you focus on for companies to raise that lifetime value?
Sure. So it really depends on the level where they are. We work with even with a few startups up to actually now, so up to 8, even 9 figures sometimes. Actually, one of my team members just told me today we audited the Fortune 500 company, and I'm very happy for that. So
Very cool.
we try to grab the attention of bigger companies as well, and I think we are getting better and better with that. Obviously, those folks, they need very different things. But in general, we usually start with email marketing because the ROI is still the best with email marketing. And once it's nailed, then we add other channels like SMS marketing, even physical mail, push notifications. We set up a loyalty program, and we take care of the creative side, but also the technical side. And when it comes to a larger brand, usually where they struggle is really syncing the different channels and, sometimes even simplifying things.
Mm-hmm.
They have too complex structures, so we help them with those.
No, that's great. I'm really interested in what was it? One second. I'm really interested in the loyalty program and the referral program. How exactly does that work?
Sure. So loyalty is a great thing. I mean, the money is there. Unfortunately, many brands they think that if they install a loyalty app, it will do the work. They just expect that it's a plug-in and play kind of thing, and you just plug it in and it will make money. This couldn't be farther from the truth because a loyalty program is something where you really need a good strategy. So it's not just setting up something, sending some messages, and wonderfully, it will make money. No, you need a solid strategy for a loyalty program. And I'm pretty sure everyone can name a few loyalty programs and subscriptions that you really like, and it really stands out. And it's probably not a 10% coupon code for your loyalty because that's not too creative, right? So I think we can learn a lot from large brands. What they do, they incentivize people to buy more. They reward that behavior. If you buy more, you can get points. You can get those points, and you can use them later. But usually, big brands do much more than that. So one example I really like is Nike. So, for example, Nike, they reward the behavior that leads to purchase. So prime example, they want you to run more. They have a running app and people, they can compete. I never used the app, to be honest, but I can imagine how this works. So people, they compete, and athletes, they are usually competitive. So who runs faster, who runs more, and then they get more and more points, and then they can try new collections of Nike and all of that. So they reward not the purchase directly, but the behavior that leads to purchase, which is running, and it leads to more consumption. So that's something that not many brands do. I think everyone can really think about it, how to do it better. Another thing is a referral program. which is part of loyalty. So you want to reward people who refer your brand to others, and you want to reward the person who referred, but also the new person who got referred. That's a big one as well. And one more tip here. So you can make it a competition as well. So you can make a leaderboard, and everyone gets points for a referral, and people, they can see the public leaderboard where they are, and if they are on the top, they can get some huge reward, like, I don't know, maybe you get a new car for them if you have the money for that. But smaller company, I don't know, like a free travel to your HQ or something. So of course, whatever you can afford. But yeah, that's just another idea.
That's awesome. I'm impressed when people take a lot of note and research on other brands, like in your anecdote about Nike. I think it shows a lot of wherewithal and education in the field at large when they're looking at some other company and saying, you know, this worked for them. How can I translate this to my company a little bit? That shows that you don't really just do this for a paycheck a little bit. So I am interested in how you kind of took, you know, 6 years in studying geology and converted that into being an e-commerce founder and entrepreneur. Can you give me that arc a little bit?
Yeah, sure. It's funny because, yeah, indeed, I studied geology for 6 years here in Europe, and at the beginning I was shy to share it, you know, because it's so different, and people, maybe they think that, what the hell, how did you become a marketer? And you must be a terrible marketer if you study geology. But recently I started embracing it more because nobody has this past in marketing. So yeah, you know, I was young. I went to the uni. I wanted to have a career in the petroleum industry, in the oil industry, and I finished it in 2016, 17, and I couldn't find a job. Oil prices were very down back then, and yeah, it was more about layoffs back then than hiring in the industry. And yeah, I just looked around, and I actually found Upwork, the freelancer platform.
Sure.
And I applied for small gigs first as a copywriter, and that's how I got started. And since then, it's been a snowball, really. Like we got or I got bigger projects. After a while, I hired people, and we became an agency. Yeah.
No, that's amazing. And that's kind of one of those was self-made stories. Just to pivot a little bit, on your website, you essentially claim that now I don't want to use this word if it's not explicit, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you essentially guarantee brands that it'll only take 21 days to see the lifetime value of their customers increase by 20 to 50%. Is that a guarantee? First question, is that a guarantee?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, our setup usually takes 3 weeks, and yeah, we can see this increase. One thing I would add, so we don't guarantee this to everyone. We have a process to filter people and businesses if we think it's achievable there for their business. But, you know, if we can see that the answer is yes, then we have this. And when we have the first call, we always set a goal for every business, that what is a realistic goal we can get, and we set that goal together with the client, and we try to achieve that. And then once we achieved it, we go beyond, we set new goals. But we are very goal driven, so we don't just do the job and that's it, but we go for the results. So yeah.
And my follow-up question to that is, how did you come up with those parameters? You know,
Mm-hmm.
for example, 20 to 50%,
Mm-hmm.
21 days. How did you
Mm-hmm.
come up with kind of those
Yeah.
milestones a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So actually, I'm not the person who does it. Our sales guy does it, and at the beginning, I was very shy that he will, just screw it up, because that's a big promise, and if you
Sure.
don't keep the promise, that's a big problem. But actually, he's been amazing with this. So we hit the goals, I think, around 90% of the times, which is crazy to think about. Um,
That's
so
amazing.
so we hit the goals that he sets for
Hmm.
the team, and I just watch it. And I think the key really is just that we've been doing this for a long time, and we have a lot of data. We work with more than 160 companies now, and yeah, I also asked my team, like, how you come up with these goals, and even they cannot explain it too well, like, yeah, we just have the experience, we know the niches, we know if they have this and that, what we can expect to happen, and they just guess the number. So yeah, I think it's just all about experience, and after it becomes your second nature to come up with the goals. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, once you've been doing that process enough where you're sitting people down, you're
Yeah.
asking the right questions.
Yeah.
I actually do brands come up with the goals more often,
Mm-hmm.
or are you coming up with the goals, or is it
Mm-hmm.
really just a
Yeah.
total yin and yang
Mm-hmm.
process?
Yeah, it's somewhat yin and yang, but I think we can say that we come up with the goals,
Okay.
more precisely. Many brands, they don't know what they can expect, though, so they tell us that, hey, you are the experts, come up with something, some numbers, and we do. It's honestly, it's rare that they do. Yeah, many of them, they don't even know what numbers what KPI to follow,
Hmm.
like this revenue number or open rates, engagement rates, so they don't even know that. And so yeah, we help them quite much. I would say rather us who come up with these numbers. Yeah, yeah,
What KPI should people be following? I've talked to a lot of people who
yeah,
have a lot of different opinions on that.
yeah. Yeah, that's a huge topic, right? And yeah, so we usually come up with revenue numbers, because end of the day, this is what matters, and the
Sure.
profit. Many businesses, they don't share their profits, so we don't bother them, but we focus on revenue. Um, and another big topic nowadays is attribution. Like, okay, your software says that email, SMS, these channels, they made, I don't know, 30% of revenue,
Hmm.
but it's, the attribution can be changed. What's the base of that?
Hmm.
Um, but usually we have no issues with that. So the client, trusts the software we use, and we just follow those numbers. So also, I think we are conservative in terms of attribution. So we attribute sales. For example, for email, I know it's a bit technical, but for email, if somebody opened an email and they buy within 5 days, it's an email sale. But on
Hmm.
the sixth day, they are not anymore. But I know agencies where they extend it to 2 months. Somebody opens an email and buys after 59 days, it's still an email sale. And I don't know, that's very not conservative, right? So
So
yeah.
do you think they're trying to bolster or prove to
Mm,
their clients that this email
mm,
service is working by extending that time frame
yeah,
a little bit, so it kind of makes
yeah.
they're kind of fudging their numbers, is what I'm hearing you say,
Yeah,
honestly,
yeah,
Daniel.
yeah. Definitely, definitely. And that's why attribution is a huge topic nowadays,
Sure.
because of course everyone wants to see that their software, their agency makes the money. And when I can see a business, they use 5 different software tools, 5 different agencies, and I check the dashboard of each, they claim these numbers. I add up the numbers, and then I take a look at the bank account of the business or their total revenue, what they tell me. and it's half of that or 1/3 of that. So yeah, everyone wants to say that, yeah, my agency, my software made the money, and nobody is really true there or right there. That's why it's a big topic. But I think on our end, we are conservative, and I think that's the right way in the long run, because you can, I can see companies saying that we made 70-60% of revenue of the business from email, but I don't know, somebody must be screwed there. That's a too high number. So
what is a realistic number? That what is a realistic number that people should be pulling in from email? I mean, I hate to be asking for generalizations, but you've been doing it for 6 years. Email is kind of your bread and butter. What should on average an average company's pull be from email? Is it 60? Is it 40%? I mean, what should it be?
Sure. So of course, the first answer is it depends. It depends on a few things, but let's say average 20, 30, 40%, maybe 50%. But when it's more than that, I'm very skeptical, like 60, 70. If somebody has those numbers, I ask them, okay, how much you spend on acquiring new customers? Because looks like everyone comes back again and again from email, but how about new customers? You don't spend them, you don't want them, or why it's so low? That's, you know, the other half of the percentage. So yeah.
And when it comes to attribution, right? I think that there's kind of two different trains of thought, and that's either to focus energy on the stuff that's working and make sure that that's perfect. Make sure that let's say my company is at an attribution of 60 to 70% of people are coming in through email. I make sure that that is running like a well-oiled machine, because that's guaranteed money right there. That's kind of option A. Or where it's option B, where it's like my email's only like 10, 15, 20%. I need to bolster that. So I guess my succinct version of that question to you, Daniel, is, do you focus on the stuff that's working well and make sure that it's continuing to work well? Or do you focus on the stuff that isn't working as well and try to get it to the position that you're happy with?
Interesting question. I would say we focus on the things we are the good at, you know. So first of all, I'm not the e-commerce business owner. I don't do all marketing there. So they can decide about the strategy. We don't do their whole strategy. We just do that part that we are good at, which is retention. And we focus on what we are the best at, you know. So but I don't know if that answers your question, by the way. But I can see this many times that we achieve good numbers with email already. And the problem is the acquisition side, which is not our job. But then we try to refer partners, other agencies or experts, and help them with that, because the two things are tied together. So they need new customers that they can retain later, and we can help them with the second. So yeah.
Just to kind of switch gears a little bit in terms of the other services you offer, as you mentioned, the value of push notifications earlier, and I'm curious if you could kind of explain that a little bit. Is that simply push notification I get from getting an email or getting an SMS message, or what is that specifically that you're referring to?
Sure. So email and SMS are different things, and push is a third thing.
Cool.
So now we are talking about those messages that comes up on your phone, the push notifications. And I know many people think it's annoying, and it can be, but it makes a shit ton of money. So it works well, and also we can do it in a not too annoying way. So same with pop-ups and SMS, with all marketing channels, really. But what we do, so we use Push Owl for this. in most cases. It works with Shopify. And we set up a few automations. So if somebody goes to the checkout with an item and they leave, we send them 3 abandoned cart messages in 3 days. They get this on the phone. That's one example. Or if somebody buys, we set them 2 messages. We try to upsell new things. So these are the automations. And we also send out manual campaigns, especially when there is a holiday. Let's say it's Black Friday. We send out 3 push messages in 1 week with different offers. So, these are small messages, very short messages. Everyone has to opt in on the website. So they give their consent to receive those messages. And after we send these. I would say it's not a huge rainmaker, So email, SMS much bigger, even loyalty is much bigger, but it's a kind of easy money because not many companies do it. It's very cheap to send push to people, and we have a case study. We made, I think, $50,000 for it's like 1% of their revenue, 1 or 2%. So it's not huge, but it's very profitable, and it's just really money found on the table. So
because that's something that you automate. It's
exactly,
only I don't know, kind of manual labor is to sit there and automate the service and write the copy. So that 1 or 2% that's coming in is literally just one person that's writing copy at the end of the day.
Yeah. We had one guy from India who I asked him, he seemed to be, interested and smart enough. And I told him, hey, if you could help this client look into this, then it's a win-win for everyone. And he learned it. He did it. I think he still does it. So we even have a video about this on YouTube. It's almost 1 hour, a tutorial, and he shares how everyone can do it. So yeah, push is really money found on the table. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. That's something that I haven't done enough research on or talked to enough people about is push notifications. Kind of to pivot to a different area of services that we haven't talked about yet is landing pages and the value of landing pages. So, on your website, you pretty much claim a 30% conversion rate increases your revenue by 30%. Is that accurate? Is that true? The higher up the scale you go, whether it's 80%, it gives you 80% revenue. I mean, give it to me straight.
Yeah, I have to revisit this page. I don't want to claim too much, but in simple terms, if nothing else changes, yes. So if you have the same traffic, same price, same everything, you increase the conversion by 30%. Yes, your revenue increased by 30%, but in reality, it's more complex. So many variables, they change and everything. I think if you increase conversion by 30%, your revenue won't increase by the same, maybe less, but pretty substantial. So like, let's say 15%, 20%. I think those are still huge numbers for a business. And landing pages are probably the first thing that I would restructure on a website. Yeah.
And how often should someone be changing that? Is that something that people should only change when there's a new product to launch or a new campaign that they're starting? Or is that something that should be consistently updated, once a week?
Yeah. So, what I can, so first of all, in an ideal world, I think everyone should do it regularly and not just with new products, but because you can always improve, so better copy, better design, better layout, better images, many things. There are long checklists with these things, how it can be improved. But I know everyone has limited resources, so it really depends. It's not the number one thing if you are a small business, but I would say in the top 3 when it comes to marketing. So acquisition, your website conversion, and your retention, these three. So it's there. And if you have the time or the people, then make sure you update these regularly and improve them. Yeah.
Great. I think that's good, solid advice. One of the last things I wanted to talk about was before we pressed the big red record button, we were talking about your experience as a podcaster and how you've done over 200 episodes. So I'm curious how you got into it. What's kind of like your dynamic? I'd just love to hear a little bit about your experience as a podcast host.
Yeah, so now I started this more than 2 years ago now. Now we are over 200 episodes. And I learned so much about this. And I think I'm so much more confident with this than back then. I was super shy. And, at the beginning, I thought that I was quite naive. I thought that I would be some next Joe Rogan or some mainstream guy. Everyone wants to learn email marketing. And after a while, pretty soon, I realized that's not the case. It's a very niche topic, even if I want to make it fun. And also so I think now the biggest goal is not really becoming mainstream or as many listeners as we can get, but more about getting the right type of listeners. So decision makers, bigger businesses, maybe getting deeper in the knowledge stuff, but also sharing stories, human stories, relatable stories, a combination of both. Also making it not too long, not too short. I don't want to make it just like a quick tips and hacks type of podcast. I want deeper than that, but still not like a 3-hour long conversation, because I don't know, I'm maybe at one point, but not now. I'm also it's a lot of time. So
it can be time consuming, but I think there's a lot of value in just kind of like sitting there and connecting with someone while helping other people listening. It's can be simple but profound. So Daniel, when people come on the show, I have one final question I always ask them, and that's about how e-commerce professionals are operating 24/7, 365. It can be extremely stress-inducing, and to promote good mental health and work-life harmony, what are some of your hobbies and interests that you do outside of e-commerce to establish that work-life harmony?
That's definitely important. I just turned 31 last year, and over 30 I realized it again and again that it's so important. Sport is a big thing for me. So I go to the gym. After this I'm going running today. So I do both weightlifting, cardio 5 times a week. I like cooking as well. That's kind of a hobby for me. And I like traveling as well and just meeting people, either business or not business related. So traveling is big for me as well. And mostly these. I mean, nothing crazy, I don't play instruments. I don't I don't know, I don't do bungee jumping. so mostly these.
And all that thing is, all that stuff is just not yet. Maybe in 2 to 10 years time, you'll be a bungee jumping pianist. Who knows?
Yeah, I will shoot a podcast while I'm bungee jumping. That would be fun, and talk about email marketing.
Upside down.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, it's been a real pleasure, man. Thanks for coming on the show. Good luck with the agency.
Thanks, Alex. Thanks, everyone, and thanks for the opportunity.